Okie dokie. I'm going to do the knife project. Here's some tests that don't work because the knife class is empty. But let's go over here and write it. So it's got two variables, one called length and one called sharpness. Private length, private int sharpness. And then we have a constructor, it accepts one parameter, the length. Public knife, I'm going to say len. And we say length equals len and sharpness equals 100 because I said sets sharpness 100. I'm going to just delete these parts as I go through. Then we need a method called cut, which is void, takes no parameters, and reduces the sharpness by 1 and prints cut. So public void cut. We print space and then the word cut. And sharpness minus. That takes 1 off. Sharpness. I don't know if you know, but every time you use a knife, you're making it a little less sharp. It's not as dramatic as this simulation, obviously, unless you're cutting rocks, maybe. I don't know. All right, then we have another method, cut, with an integer n that'll cut that many times. I'm going to copy this cut, and I'm going to throw in int n. And we're going to write a little for loop for int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus. And we want it to be a print without the ln. I'm going to print all these cuts. And then after the for loop, we're going to do a print that makes it go to a new line so that on the printout over on the right, it's not just a total mess. And then we're going to reduce the sharpness by n. So we say minus equals n. That'll take the sharpness down by that many. So that's this. It's going to print cut that many times. It's going to reduce the sharpness by that many units. And then we have a sharpen method, sets the sharpness to 100, and it reduces the length of the knife by 0.1, and it prints sharpen. Public void sharpen. Sharpness equals 100. Length minus equals 0.1. We're taking the length down by 0.1. And we're going to print sharpened. All right, if we run this now, I think we'll get a bunch of, let's see if I put a semicolon there, we'll get, some things, but we're getting this knife at address thing. And that's because I'm going to put a space in front of sharpen so that it's indented like all the cuts. But that's because we haven't done a TwoString yet. All right, we're going to do TwoString. Public string TwoString. And it's going to print two things. It prints the length and whether it's sharp or not. And then it also says if it needs sharpening. So we'll just do an if statement. If sharpness is less than, and here TwoString needs to use an if statement to say if the knife needs sharpening. If the knife sharpness is less than 60, it says needs sharpening. So if less than 60, we're going to return length plus sharpness plus sharpness. I'm doing text in quotes, variable, and then plus needs sharpening. That's if it's less than 60. And then otherwise, you don't even need to say else. It's okay if you want to say else, but that first that first return leaves the method. So it's not going to run this other thing unless sharpness was 60 or higher. But let's see. Yeah, so the first one, length 3, sharpness 100. We do a cut. Now it's sharpness 99. We cut 45 times, I think it did. Yeah, so now we're down to sharpness 54, and it says needs sharpening. And then we sharpened it, and then now the length is 2.9, and the sharpness is back to 100. Sharpness is back to 100. Anyway, if it's bothering you, go ahead and put an else here. And you don't have to tab it in. I'm just making it look good. Okay, and we're good to go.